All right, Rob, let's get into this NFL segment. Brock Purdy coming back with the Niners off the bye week.
The beginning of the end. Oh, go ahead, Chris.
If this indeed is the end, it started 3 weeks ago. After just a historic start to his NFL career. First 10 starts, Rob, he had the highest passer rating in the history of football. Had not lost. He was 10-0. And like I said, arguably the MVP. I said he was MVP after week 5.
For 30 minutes, right? Okay.
Yeah, it was changing. It was, early in the season, it's going to be like that. But through week 5, he was playing well and the team was. And now they've hit a skid, lost 3 straight. Some injuries. Trent Williams, the left tackle out, that was huge.
That's a big deal, right?
Yeah, that was the biggest. And Christian McCaffrey was banged up. And now Brock Purdy himself had 3 touchdowns, 5 interceptions in those last 3 games after throwing none through the first 5 games of the year. So he comes back off the bye, and it's not going to be easy. They are playing at Jacksonville. And that's always dangerous, Rob, with the West Coast trip. They're flying all the way across the country to play in Florida at 1 o'clock. So that's like 10 a.m. on Sunday morning for the Niners. They are favored by 3, but it's going to be an interesting game. And I want to ask you, what do you expect from Brock Purdy, and how long, like I asked Mike Jones, do you think he's got a long leash, or he won't get benched this game?
No, nothing's going to happen now.
Right. Do you think at some, if he has a bad game, let's not say if he plays the next 4 games poorly, he's getting – yeah, we get that. But, if he has another bad game, do you think he is very close to that there would be a quarterback controversy in San Francisco?
I think what it would happen, Chris, is that people will start to reevaluate where he is. We just had Mike Jones from The Athletic.
They may have already done that.
But I'm just saying, another one, once you start getting some of your pieces back and you're still struggling. You could maybe justify it, hey, he didn't have to.
Right.
Then you start getting some pieces back, and he's still not playing well. Like Mike Jones said, and we had that guy on from Pro Football Focus. You remember who said
Sam Monson.
Remember who said the numbers, like they aren't as great as you think they are, like their stuff. And then Mike Jones in hour 1 was saying that he talked to people and said he left stuff out there. Like as well as he's played, there are some of those moments. And I think that's what happens, Chris, that there's really like a chance of people starting to say and starting to question, was it everything else and he just was in the perfect situation at the perfect time, or is he really a difference maker, an equal, a difference maker? And I think that's what's at stake, just the narrative. Not that anything's going to happen right now, but if this season goes from 5-0 to down in the tubes, Chris.
Right.
And it's because the quarterback play stopped being what it was, I really believe that people will start looking at him differently.
Well, and look, in being fair, the defense hasn't played well. They haven't gotten any pass rush. And they went out and got Chase Young from Washington in a trade. He has 5 sacks in 7 games this season. The highest 49er has 3 sacks. Nick Bosa and Hargrave as well. And so they weren't getting a pass rush. And so we'll see, again, good week for them because with the bye week, they had time to, get Chase Young somewhat acclimated.
Right.
And so that should help. So the defense hasn't played well. They haven't been able to run the football. Trent Williams, as we said, has been out, so their run game has really suffered. So it's kind of, I'm not saying he's as good as Dak at this moment, but it's similar to that in that when he was just running the show and they had a run game and they had defense, he was doing his thing and they were winning. But when the defense failed, the run game failed, one of the great receivers got hurt, and you want him to put you on his back, he's not that guy. He may be one day, He may not
He ain't
be,
that guy now.
but he's not going to do that now. And we've seen that with Dak. And so I still do think he's a good quarterback. I think he'll bounce back. But what I'll say, Rob, this is a great test for him. It is a great test because he's been having trouble, at least the last 3 games, with the turnovers. Jacksonville is tied for the lead in takeaways this season. And they're second in interceptions. So it'll be interesting to see, can he avoid the turnovers against this team that makes a living picking balls off. So it's if he gets through this and plays well and has no interceptions or maybe 1 interception but a lot of touchdowns, then I think a lot of the questions will subside and people will lean more toward, he is the real deal. But if he struggles, even in a win, Rob, if he struggles, then people are going to still wonder, okay, is the bottom going to fall out again at some point? So it's a big game to see where he's at.
Yeah, and if he plays well, then that'll call off the dogs for right now, Chris. And if he doesn't, I agree with that. I just think that there are people who, because of his draft status and where he was, will always, as I told you before, there will always be, Chris, doubts until he's winning the Super Bowl. He can play well
because they've been far.
Right, he can play well all the way through and has 2 picks in the Super Bowl. And they said, "See, we knew he couldn't do it. We knew that's what it would be." Even though he played well,
because that was the case with Jimmy G.
Yep,
he got him to a Super Bowl. They weren't good in the years he was hurt. They were great in the years he was healthy, and still, people had questions about him. He's not that good. I mean, it's really, even though they're different. Like Purdy's more accurate. I don't think he makes as many mistakes as Jimmy G. But a lot of the same questions, Rob, that were out there about Jimmy G are there about Purdy. Now, Jimmy G did have some comebacks and some late drives to win games. And so Will Purdy, that's what people want to see him do. But like I said, this is a good test for him. And the thing is, right, this is a tough game. I mean, Jacksonville's obviously playing well. They've won 5 straight games. It's in Jacksonville. Like I said, it's the odd time for the West Coast team. So it's a tough game, but they really, beyond Purdy, they need this. I mean, if they fall to 5-4, you've lost 4 straight, off the bye you lose. Jacksonville's off a bye too, so that may nullify that. But usually you feel like we're coming off the bye, we're going to win, right? And so they need to get this thing straightened out, and it needs to start Sunday in Jacksonville. All right.